Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
And I'm Ted, aka Steady. May the force be with you.
Obviously from the Countdown City Geeks.
Obviously.
If you haven't checked out their website, if you haven't checked out their social media, it's pretty good. I suggest you go there now. We're actually after the podcast, after the live stream. And yeah, they
Ah,
cover everything from movie reviews to TV shows to Star Wars to Ghostbusters to wrestling.
like anything on this shelf, we talk about it at least
Okay.
once a week.
To the Snyderverse, to the Snyder Cut.
Yes, those discussions are getting few and far between. Hey, but we got at least see the Snyder Cut on a big
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
Not
We're
too
one of
many
the
people can say that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Ted had a screening of the Snyder Cut in 4K, which like looked really, really good. I was really shocked because we went to a theater. Ted rented it out. He rented out two actual movie sessions so we could watch the entire thing. That was pretty unique. I didn't know he did that, but the way that we played the movie was interesting because you would think they would go upstairs around and go to the projection booth, but there is really no old school projection booth anymore. It's just a door on the side inside the theater, up like about 3 feet, and there's just a 4K player sitting right next to the projector. The guy put it in. He's like, "Here's the remote." It started, and it looked fantastic. I was really shocked how good it looked. It was theater quality, but it is a
Looked
4K projector.
looked and sounded great. Even the audio quality was above what I expected. I
Yeah,
figured nothing would be calibrated correctly. There might be some issues, but you couldn't really tell. So great times.
yeah, yeah. You definitely could have charged admission for that showing. I thought.
Next time. Next time.
So yeah, I want to say hi to one of our awesome patrons, Maka Tautala. What is up, man? One more sleep before I jump on that plane. Just one more, and we'll be in London. So yeah, Maka says I'm so hyped for celebration. I'm not even going. Yeah, everyone's super hyped. I am not fully packed yet. Not quite packed. We're probably gonna do another podcast talking about the Mandalorian if I wake up in time. I know Colin's gonna do one for sure. I think he's gonna bring on some people, but yeah, I'm hyped about this next episode because it's Bryce Dallas Howard directing and it's Filoni co-writing, and it's about 40 something minutes long, so it's gonna be a little bit longer than the short ones, but I'm excited. What do you think we're gonna see, Ted?
Well, all I know is we have all the ingredients for what could be a pretty epic episode. I've been thinking about the trailers for a while. Would you agree that out of what we've already been given in the trailers, majority of that's already been shown in the season?
I think all of it's actually been shown. I don't think there's a single shot that I can think of.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
What have you not shown us that you've been preparing for this entire time? I mean, it brings me
Yeah.
back thoughts and memories of Avengers Endgame, right? You gave us a trailer with 3 minutes of footage from the first 10 to 15% of the movie, and you purposely left everything else out. What juicy Star Wars content are are we about to embark on? Hopefully, I won't say hopefully. This season has been laying the bricks and the pavement for a great payoff, and we've been talking about this on this show a lot. That every episode, it's like they're gently leading us along the way. And there has to be something that, a convergence, if you will, this unknown threat, this empirical threat in the galaxy that we're not yet aware of. How massive is it? How formidable is it? um, Bo Katan and her destiny. Like we're almost there. Um, Mando and Grogu and their journey. It feels like there's just so many things converging all at once. It's really exciting. It's going to hit a tipping point. It could be this episode.
Yeah, I think we're going to get something pretty exciting this episode. I think it's leading up to Moff Gideon, and it's going to be an episode, I think, focused on his journey. Maybe we might see a flashback to where they're taking him from that ship. Maybe we get to see some Luke Skywalker tonight. Maybe like a little different point of view shot of Moff Gideon being just absolutely terrified on his back. Wouldn't that be wild if we saw Cara Dune?
That would be wild. Yes, absolutely.
That would be something. But
So
yeah,
you
seeing
think
him,
they'll go back to the finale of season two, and you think they'll sort of briefly catch us up along the way on his path to becoming free again?
it's possible. It's totally possible.
I like it.
They might just cut to him being on that Lambda shuttle that we saw in the last episode that was broken into. Um, but there's a lot of theories out there right now about maybe perhaps Moff Gideon has some sort of tie to the Mandalorians. He might actually be a Mandalorian. He did end up with the dark saber.
Ooh,
Um, Also, maybe we get some Maul DeLoreans in this episode. The Maul DeLoreans were that sect of Mandalorians with that who were basically following Darth Maul or Maul, and they put the little horns on their helmets, and that signified who they kind of followed. And of course, we all know that the armor has horns on her helmet, and there's a lot of discussion on maybe she is really kind of like Elia Kane, and that she might be kind of like a double agent. We don't know, but I think the suspicions have arose stemming from last episode, and
absolutely.
and I think you're in agreement with me about that, and also the whole long game thing with Bo-Katan. I think you and I have the same kind of outlook on it, that she's not trying to play some type of evil type of stratego.
Manipulation.
Yeah,
She's not trying to manipulate anybody. And I think that it's expected of her to do so, but it's not the intent of the writers. They've not been giving us those hints along the way. And so, yes, I'm in agreement.
yeah. And I think a lot like Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan is another one of Filoni's beloved characters. Um, Bo-Katan was actually named after his wife's cat, I believe, which is kind of funny. But
That is funny.
yeah, that if you Google it, that's what Google says. But I heard a long time ago that
In a galaxy far, far away.
no, this galaxy on Earth, um, I know the Convors, the owl that follows Ahsoka around. Those are named after Dave Filoni's wife's last name. Her last name is Convery.
Ah, very nice.
And of course, it's a Star Wars tradition. You pull names from all kinds of places that you've worked with different people. You worked with different just items off the top of the desk. R2D2 is, I believe, a real two. Um, what's a D stand for? I'm forgetting. It's late. But
Droid.
let me look that up actually. What does
Well,
stand for? Dialogue track two. Yeah, I was thinking
mm,
track, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not D. But yeah, Real 2 dialogue track 2. That's R2D2. So, yeah. And of course, that's a long-standing tradition with Star Wars pulling stuff out, disassembling parts and using, especially the lightsabers, using the shotgun light off of one of those old school cameras that pop and flash on. I bet everyone has heard that sound that they make. And my dream, once I found out that's what they were made of, and I heard people would go to garage sales just to look for that piece, or that camera, and then just throw the camera away pretty much and use actual lightsaber piece as an actual just prop. There's a little bit of putting together, but it's essentially the lightsaber hilt off of those old
Interesting.
cameras.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, what is up, Darth Carl?
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Not a lot. Long, busy day. Getting ready for celebration.
So yeah, Carl will be traveling with me to London. Same plane, same flights.
Amazing, gentlemen.
Yeah, this will
Godspeed to
be.
both of you.
Yeah, I think this will be our fourth or third celebration together. Trying to think. 2015. It'll be our fourth because we went
Or
2015,
I had to
2017.
skip out on Chicago because
Yeah.
things happened.
So yeah, we will be on a plane in less than 24 hours.
Dave, what are you most looking forward to at Celebration?
Um, I love the panels, but I don't know if we're gonna get in. That's the thing. That's the big thing. We won the Lucasfilm panel. We won the overflow into the Twin Suns Galaxy stage. I believe that's what it's called, or maybe just Twin Sun stage. It's a tiny, tiny room in the Excel Center. It's kind of weird because the queue is actually bigger than the room. So I don't know how that works, but there are going to be standby lines for each of the panels. Um, so I'm essentially interested in the news. I love the bleeding edge news, and um, I'm I'm very curious to see how they're going to present these new films, and if we're going to get the three new films that are rumored. That's the real big question mark, I think. And are they going to have something that's kind of a fully baked presentation for each one of the films, or are they just going to do simple announcements? I mean, what exactly we're going to get? We know the rumor is Taika Waititi is going to do a film, Sean Levy is going to do a film, and then that film that Damon Lindelof abandoned. So that's three right there. Um, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to seeing everyone again. I'll get to see Colin and Josh in person. I was just talking to Colin the other day, and he was like, "We haven't seen each other since last celebration, less than a year ago, but still." This turnaround from 2022 to 2023 celebration was pretty quick. So, but
Right.
we'll have that long break in 2024. No celebrations then. 2025 will be the next celebration, and of course, we all expect the news at the end of celebration on Monday, the closing ceremonies for them to announce where celebration 2025 will take place. And traditionally, when they have a celebration, they have a film to release traditionally. So there's all those rumors and people are talking about, well, 2025 is the minimum date that we'll get a film. So we'll see what happens with that. And it's also going to be interesting that it's not going to be on American soil. I've never been to a celebration that wasn't in the United States of America. And I know they've been held in Germany, Tokyo, London before. So I just want to check out the vibe. But I've never been to the UK, so that'll be interesting. Um, but yeah, just to check out the vibe and see that there's a lot of familiar people that I know I'll see, And a lot of Star Wars fans are already over there, and they're treating it like a big vacation, which makes sense. But yeah, I'm just interested to see the news, what comes of the panels, and we were talking about Bad Batch earlier, and Bad Batch. You haven't seen the finale, have you?
Have not.
Okay, so
It's been a very busy time right now.
yeah, I understand. I understand with your schedule. But yeah, it kind of leaves off thinking maybe they're going to continue it and do a season 3. So we're fully expecting to have an announcement for a season 3, and they're doing a Bad Batch panel, and they open up that Bad Batch panel to do to be eligible to win a lottery for. So I think that tells you that there's going to be maybe some big announcement. And what else could it be other than the season 3 announcement? So
Awesome. Let me quickly set up your expectations for London. Since you are from Texas, they don't do breakfast over there. When
our
you wake
hotel
up,
does.
and you're like, all right, let me give me some eggs, let me get some bacon, let me get some gravy, some toast,
Some sausage.
all yeah, all that stuff. They don't. It's very minimal. Breakfast is like the least important thing of their day. Uh, Tea, everything shuts down for tea. They
Yeah,
love that stuff.
yeah.
But yeah,
How many times
expect
have you been to the UK?
once it was
Okay.
3 4 day trip.
Okay.
I stayed in London, and then we took the I don't even know what it's called anymore, but we took the underground train
Mhm.
to Paris
Okay,
after
the
that,
tunnel.
the tunnel, and spent another 3 or 4 days in Paris.
Okay, wow.
So good times, a lot of fun, beautiful place. They don't do breakfast, and so that way you don't get disappointed when you're over there expecting like a big old buffet thing, like the Texans do. Yeah, they don't do that there.
Yeah, our
Hard
hotel, I
hard
believe.
biscuits and jams, what you get.
Well, the hotel we're going to is good. Apparently they do like beans and ham and stuff like that, but like a English fry up kind of thing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That should be exciting. There you go. Darth Carl, what are you most excited about for celebration?
I am most excited to see if they finally have a plan.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't really care what per se the movie they announced, just whether there's actually like thought put behind this instead of just slapping things together. And here, watch this. Yeah, I hold my beer. I mean, that's it. Kind of seems what they've been doing. It's like, well, that's kind of not good enough. I was pretty disappointed in Obi-Wan, for example. I didn't think that was up to par. Too many weird moments. Too much. Just why on earth am I watching this kind of moments, and that's not good. I mean, yeah. I don't feel like I should ever watch a Star Wars show and sit there wondering why I'm wasting my time.
Ooh, yeah, for sure.
And unfortunately, Obi-Wan had a few of those moments where I was just like, had have the producers ever watched a Star Wars movie? I mean, just random stuff that just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Um, and so I want to see them actually have a plan. That would be good. I am also expecting them to push. I know the Star Wars Celebration, but I'm pretty sure they're going to push Indy 5 pretty hard. Um, because I mean they did that last celebration, so they're gonna do this celebration because it's the Lucasfilm panel, and that is the
Hmm.
movie coming from Lucasfilm this year. So they
And it's
spend a
an
lot of
hour and a
money,
half long.
right? They spend a lot of money on this movie, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna spend some time on Indy 5. Because
That'll be great.
yeah, I mean last year they spent a fair amount of time with Indy 5. Of course, you had Harrison Ford actually on stage. I don't know that he's actually going to be there. I don't think he is. I mean, but at the same time, I won't be surprised if he walks out. So because he seems to be pretty happy with this movie. Like some of the interviews I've seen with Harrison Ford, he seems to be pretty stoked about this one, which he
I've
was.
seen him smiling. Yeah.
He didn't seem to be too stoked about Crystal Skull. I don't know if you remember back when that movie came out. He did the promo runs for it, but he was never like pumped for it. This one he seems to be pumped for. So hopefully that'll work out. So I'm expecting to see some Indy 5. Matter of fact, I'm expecting Lucasfilm panel to be devoting probably 30 minutes on that alone. That might take some Star Wars fans off, but at the same time, which Star Wars fan doesn't like Indiana Jones? I mean,
Honestly.
that's kind of one of those things. But yeah, that's really it. I'm looking forward to being able to wear my Scout Trooper armor, especially for the 40th anniversary celebration for Return of the Jedi. Very appropriate. Um, yeah. Other than that, let's see what they got, man. I mean, I think they've been kind of fumbling their way through this whole thing over the last couple of years, and I hope that they kind of show that, hey, look, we thought about things, we have a plan, we're kind of on the same page. I'm hoping that that is also the reason why Lindelof left, is the fact that they just couldn't get onto the same page with him. That, hey, look, we have all these other filmmakers that they're doing this, we want to do this, and you're wanting to do something completely different. That's not going to work anymore. We need to all be on the same page. And I have a feeling that's probably what it was. Just that, yeah, he might have wanted to go a little bit out into left field where nobody wants to go right now. So, but we'll see. I mean, don't know for sure until somebody says something officially.
So, what are you looking forward to, Ted?
I'm a very I'm a very realistic person when it comes to these type of things. I don't like to set my expectations too high. Um, with any convention, small or big, I kind of lower my expectations going in, and if I'm surprised by something bigger announced, then yeah, it's all positive after that. So I'm keeping expectations sort of low to mild, uh, but I am mostly interested in to see what movie announcements they make. I'm expecting only one, keeping it at one, seeing if we get more than that, but just hoping for one at this point. Acolyte. Hopefully, we see a lot more from Acolyte.
Yeah, we should get at
Stellar
least a trailer.
cast.
Yeah.
It's a stellar cast. I'm really excited to see what it's all about. It's, I like I mentioned, it's on this show before, sort of outside of the Skywalker saga as much as you can, I guess, for right now. But it should be a refreshing new story, something we really haven't seen before. So looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, there was a report from Screen Rant that one of the actors actually spoke about the Acolyte, and she said something along the lines of, Star Wars has never attempted a show like this before. So whatever that means, I don't know. But it's at the end of the High Republic. Yoda's around, um, and of course, a young Palpatine is around. Hopefully, we get to see something along the lines of Palpatine, possibly Plagueis, maybe cameo. I don't know. Show up. To me, that should be a series, really, a series or a film. And I've talked about it so much that the strategy that Lucasfilm and Disney have with Star Wars is been a little odd. Um, and now with Bob Iger coming back,
Yeah,
he is.
I'm thinking he's going to crack the whip a little bit and kind of push it a little bit more on the, hey, give more power to the creators has always been kind of his thing.
Yeah.
So I think because a lot of these projects that had come out over the last couple of years always felt like, yeah, the creators did their thing, but there was always the corporate, hey, we need you to shoehorn this in somehow. We don't care how you do it. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
That's Yeah, that needs to stop. This whole, hey, we're just going to put something in here just because it'll make people happy for a short period of time, whether it fits into the story or not is irrelevant. We're just going to shoehorn it in. Here you go. You're going to eat it and you're going to like it. But that clearly doesn't work. At least not for everybody.
Well, I mean, the movies are still making billions of dollars aside from one film.
Well, right now they're not making any dollars because they're not making any movies. So
Right.
right now it's zero actually is negative dollars because they're losing money currently with Star Wars because all they're doing is streaming shows, and we all know Disney Plus is losing money. So
Yeah. It's so bizarre that we're gonna go about 6 years without a film. I don't know. But like this Facebook user says, stop playing games with our heart. Yeah. I mean, we're signing Lord Miller, then getting rid of them. We're signing Damon Lindelof, then he leaves. The list is long and plenty. I wouldn't be surprised because I've been very fortunate to be in a lot of these panels in person and seeing Kathleen Kennedy walk across the stage. I don't think I've ever heard a single person boo her. At
Wow.
D23, this last D23 though, there were reports that people did boo from the crowd, and that would be a first, I think. And if she walks across that stage, I won't be there in person unless I get in the standby line because I won the, like I said earlier, the Twin Sun stage. It'll be interesting if she does at this celebration. And with that news that I don't know if it's true or not, but the report I think came from Jeff Snyder that there's an ultimatum that she needs to put out a Star Wars film by 2025, which is kind of weird. I mean, that puts us back in the same situation we were in 2015 when Disney acquired Lucasfilm. They're like, okay, we got to get these movies out now. And I was kind of all for it at the time because, I mean, our original cast was getting older. We didn't know how much time we had left with them. We wanted to see them back on screen. Something was finally happening. But I think now is the time to take your time with it. But of course, they've had years and years and years to figure something out. And it just feels like this celebration is like a total wild card. I mean, we don't even know exactly how many film announcements we're going to get. It's just a rumor right now. And I think in 2022, the only unsure thing that we had was the Skeleton Crew show. We didn't have a name for it. We just knew that there was another show out there. But now we have 3 kind of untitled expected film announcements. So that's kind of where we stand. So it's just, I don't know. We'll see what we get. And we'll be there to report on it and talk about it and talk about the mood of people. Probably interview some people that are walking out of the live stage. And we'll probably know a few folks that walk out and we'll talk to them and we'll try and upload as soon as possible. Hopefully the convention, the XL Center in London has really good Wi-Fi and we can just upload it straight to YouTube, or we might just go live and you can just watch it on the channel. So
yeah, we should be able to at least give that test run when we pick up our badges or will call just to kind of see how strong the Wi-Fi actually is.
yeah,
Like run a speed test, jump on the Wi-Fi there and run a speed test real quick just to see what's there. Won't be necessarily representative of what it's like when everybody's there, but at least it'll give you a rough idea of what the actual bandwidth theoretically is.
Yeah. And like you talked about before, it's going to be throttled down, right? Because everyone's going to pretty much.
Well, that's always the case. Any convention center always, sets a maximum speed limit for every user, just so because they know that they're going to have so many users on at the same time that you're not going to go, oh yeah, everybody can do whatever. Stream your 4K movies if you want.
Yeah.
That's not the point of it. The point is basic communication for those networks, not entertainment purpose. So I'm not sure that we'll actually be able to stream live. You might be able to upload, but
well, I mean, it is pretty much London. huge metropolis. Got LTE on my phone. Maybe just use the cell service. Go straight that way.
But you don't forget you only get 5 gigs of that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Well, no. I think I did contact T-Mobile, and they said I think data and texting is included on my plan. I think just making phone calls, it's like
right,
35 cents a minute or something.
yeah, but the data is limited to 5 gigs at whatever the network speed is, and then it gets throttled back to 256.
Yeah,
So
but we will try. Yeah, if we can't live stream, I'm just taking video of everything and just cutting it at night, and we're gonna podcast. We're gonna try to podcast every single night, talk about the big highlights. So yeah, it's crazy to think that Celebration is in 2 days essentially. It's this week. It's wild. Crazy. And this episode, chapter 22 of The Mandalorian, is going to drop in about 30 minutes.
yeah,
So,
something like that.
Just about.
yeah. So, yeah, Ted actually interviewed, he did I guess, a panel with Giancarlo Esposito back at the car show and Comic-Con in San Antonio. And it was a pretty cool interview. I think he pretty much had the same type of style of kind of speaking to the crowd that he did with you, Ted, at MegaCon. He just got up and just addressed the crowd and talked about certain things. I'm not sure if he talked about in detail what he spoke about at your panel, but yeah, I love that dude. I think he's one of the best actors right now working, and it's interesting. He does all these conventions, and it's almost like it doesn't make sense because he's such like a huge talent, and he's done so much. He's been around for a while too. It's interesting when you look at his filmography,
It sure has.
and yeah, I mean he's not hiding the fact that he would love to participate in the MCU or DC. I know he talked about possibly being Freeze in the DC universe, but he's gonna have to go through James Gunn for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that front is going to be a slow start. I think James Gunn and co are going to take their sweet time to try to do something good this time. Because let's face it, these DC movies, especially these last couple, have not exactly blown the doors off anything. Um, this last Shazam movie, I mean, it's all right. I mean, I, I didn't leave the movie theater giggling to myself. Let's put it that way. It was just kind of one of those. Okay, well, that happened. It was something. What I don't know, but it was something.
Yeah.
Um, so they definitely have a lot of work there. But in my personal opinion, DC's properties are a lot harder to adapt for movie purposes, anyways. Um, because they're not based in our world, so you don't have a direct anchor to what's going on in those stories. Like Marvel works because Spider-Man's in New York City. People know New York, and if nothing else, you know the background, and you kind of people can automatically identify just because this is a familiar world because it's our world. DC is this weird kind of sort of our world, but not really, and that's cool. It's just a lot harder, and where yeah, Marvel has some Omega level characters in their lineup as well, but it seems like DC's characters, every single one of them, is an Omega level character. Like one's more powerful than the next, and you're like, well, there's no stakes here. Like Superman is one of those. Superman has nothing to lose in any of these movies. That at least not personally. Like yeah, he himself, he's not gonna get hurt. There's nothing. There's nothing that's gonna happen to him. So it's hard to tell a story with a main character that has nothing at stake. So and So you would think that they would make the supporting cast what the stakes, which is what like the classic Christopher Reeve Superman did that. They made Lois Lane the stakes, and as goofy as those movies are today, I still love them. I mean, I grew up with those movies, so.
Yeah, same here.
David, you're supposed to come on my show and talk DC. What's happening here?
I'll talk DC whenever. I'm wanting that to see that resurgence.
Going back real quick because I know we need to talk about Mando, but going back to Giancarlo, I I was looking at the photos from his most recent event,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't. He doesn't. He acts like he doesn't know how big of a star he is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to degrade anybody else who's a guest at these shows, but I'm looking at the pictures and the people he's sitting next to, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be sitting next to these people.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be like in a corner on a stage with like 50 rows of line in front of you, and I don't think he knows how just big of a star he is. All that to say is he doesn't care about being treated differently at these
Mhm.
events. You know what I mean? Even though he absolutely should be. Um, and he's so genuine and down to earth, and he treats every single guest fan who comes to his table the exact same. They get the exact same sort of
Yeah.
one-on-one experience, and he understands that. And it's really hard to quantify and to describe um, how important that is, how impactful that is, and it's so hard to describe that to others who may not be aware of how to go about giving people that type of experience.
Yeah, Ted, I don't know if you've had kind of the same experience that I've had, and that you kind of live your most of your life in South Texas, and then all of a sudden you're meeting these like people that you see on TV and on movies, and it's such a weird kind of crossing like through the veil of like untouchable to like, oh my gosh, you can they are there right in front of me. And I don't know if it's the thing of just like growing up in South Texas, because I mean Hollywood really doesn't touch us very much. And
Legend of Billie Jean.
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like it's almost like those people aren't real, until you see them, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, he's just another dude.
Yeah, I
It's
think with him is he's fully aware of his status, but I kind of get the feeling off of him that he just doesn't care. Like,
Yeah,
look, I
he
just
doesn't
want
care.
to. That's great. It's fun while it lasts, but it's not going to last forever. So I might as well be a real person in the interim. That's how he comes across to me, as just somebody that's like, look, that's fantastic, but I just don't care.
No,
Yeah, John
that's
Carlos,
absolutely how it is.
yeah, he's into it, and he knows about how important this stuff is to all the people that paid their money, their own money, to actually go to the convention and pay for the autograph, pay for the photo op. He knows that a lot of people, this is their lives. It's what they look forward to. I mean, this is it. And I think Star Wars has a lot of people that actually kind of get it, kind of get that. And I've talked about it on the podcast before. I've never had a situation where I've approached someone from Star Wars and they're just like, no, I'm no, you're not going to be able to talk to me or converse with me or anything. I've never really been turned down in any type of way. I know I think we've all heard like stories about that, but it seems like Star Wars has that reputation, because running into all those people at the hotel last year, it was it was pretty cool. to run into all these Star Wars personalities, and people are in a rush. I mean, people are doing other things, and it's stressful. But I mean, everyone usually takes time and talks for a little bit, or takes a picture with you, or signs something, and it's uh it's it's interesting to kind of be doing the podcast for 5 years and then encountering these people and talking to these people and messaging these people, and you always get something good back from them.
Absolutely. And he's so accessible. I mean, he's
Yeah.
traveling around the world doing as many conventions as he can. And so
Yeah.
if anybody has a chance, if you're wondering, should I go to the next state, go see him, what have you, take the opportunity, meet him, because you'll remember the experience for forever, pretty much. He's just an incredible individual. You you just feel the energy of some people when you're in their presence. They just give off this unworldly type of energy and vibe, and there's very few people I've met that have kind of done that. One of them actually is the godfather of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee, just from another planet. You would not be able to imitate the energy and the joy and just the charisma that he brings. And Giancarlo's a lot of those same things. Just you don't know where it comes from. It's just learned experience. His entire personality just and you just feed off of it. It's just incredible.
Yeah, Hamill's another one that's kind of like that. That seems to be more like, hey, look, I know why I'm here, and it's because of you. So therefore, I'm going to at least give you respect.
Sure.
It's never this. Hey, look, I'm a big star. Step out of my way. Carrie Fisher was the same way. Uh, Harrison Ford just doesn't like anybody. I don't think so. Um, so there's that, but and that's not true. I mean, I clearly I just don't think he's a people person, so to say. So I think he actually does care, and that was pretty obvious. Like last year when they did that whole indie panel and walked up to John Williams, the fact that he does care was pretty evident there. But
Right.
it doesn't come through a lot with them.
Yeah, and if you don't remember, Harrison Ford was going to be at the 2015 celebration, but couldn't make it because he had just crashed his plane on a golf course. So that's why he didn't show up.
Douchebag. Yeah, I called Harrison Ford a douchebag because that's just a. There's a point. I get that you like doing certain things, but really, I mean, how many more times is he going to crash his plane to stuff or run across runways and do it? Yeah, there's a point where you have to just be like, hey, look, I love this stuff, but maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Just saying. I could be wrong. Probably not, but I could be.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But
I would be kind of shocked if Harrison Ford does show up unless he's already in the UK doing something work related. But you did bring up a good point though, Carl, for the Lucasfilm panel. They're going to push Indy 5, and we're probably going to get the European members of that film to show up, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who was also L3 in Solo, maybe Sala, the actor that played Sala.
John Rhys Davis.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies, who was also Gimli in The Lord of the Rings. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what non-Star Wars stuff they give us for the Lucasfilm panel. Yeah, I think it was kind of a shock last year that we got like Willow and we got Indy. But yeah, the reports say that Bob Iger wants them to concentrate on Star Wars only. So
Yeah, we'll see. By the way, how did everybody like that Willow show?
I didn't even watch a single episode.
Really? I
I was
watched it.
I watched it, but it was another one of those. Was like, okay, well, that was novel. I
I watched the entire thing. I maybe forced myself a little bit to finish it. Um, I think it's just a matter of setting expectations accordingly with some properties. Honestly, the biggest flaw that Warner Brothers has, their marketing team is terrible. Um, but Willow is it's an acquired taste, and I think had they established before it been released that this was going to be a continuation of the original film, but that the tonality of the show will have more of a sort of modernized view of it. I think it would have set people's expectations accordingly because it's very even hearing like 80s rock songs at the end of an episode, you sort of get taken back by it. It's just like, what are we doing? What is happening?
yeah
And most of the performances were great. Um, I'm not even the biggest Willow fan, but I do understand that the references and the Easter eggs were there. Those probably should have been, he understands as well. Those probably should have been highlighted more. It just, I think people had an idea of what was going to happen and what they were going to watch. And when it had this sort of different energy altogether, you just couldn't follow suit. It was just so far different than what we anticipated. And it doesn't make it a terrible show. It just was too much of a difference for people to jump on board with. And
yeah.
had we kind of set those expectations, it might have been a different story.
Yeah, to me, it didn't really feel like the same world. You know, like if you when you watch the classic a classic Willow movie, you're like, okay, well, this is a certain world is established. This didn't feel like the same place. These were the same people, but they were not in the same place. Like this world just seemed completely different. And it's just like, okay, well, it wasn't terrible. I agree. It just wasn't great. It, there could have been more done there, I think. Um, but oh well, they're not making more, so that's that. And they
Yeah.
probably shouldn't make more, in my opinion. I don't think that show had enough oomph to actually warrant making more of it. So I understand why they got canned.
And it was John Kasdan, right, who was like the showrunner or sole writer of Willow. And I know
Uh,
he co-wrote Solo,
right.
and yeah, I think he was pushing for a season 2. But everything I heard of Willow, I mean, it didn't really draw my interest. I mean, it's great that they brought it back. I love Warwick Davis as Willow and pretty much everything he does. I mean, he's especially the
Well,
Harry Potter
except
stuff.
for the Leprechaun.
That was pretty good too. I mean,
It was
he
not.
established a
Come on
horror
now.
franchise. He established a
It,
horror franchise.
here's my thing: people like watching the Leprechaun because of how bad it is, not because of how good it is.
They're watching
This is
it.
well, yeah, they're watching it, yeah, but yeah, it's one of those Ed Wood movie kind of things. People watch those movies as well, but not because they were exceptionally well made or well acted or anything. It's just like, look at this shit show, you know. Just saying. Not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's kind of what that feels like to me. It's like, yeah, because it's not really horror. At no point when I'm watching the Leprechaun am I feeling any feeling of dread. It's just kind of funny, and that's what I thought the first time I saw it back in the day too. So it's not like this is something that now that I'm an adult I don't find it scary anymore. No, this was never scary. This was just funny. So, but again. Just my personal opinion on that.
So it looks
Yeah,
like
I
we're
feel bad. I
11.
feel bad for Warwick. Just how the show was received. He
Yeah.
deserved more. He was the
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
part of the. He was the best part of the series by far.
Definitely. I mean, he was clearly really into doing this this whole show, and so he kind of fell victim to poor writing in a way because he really wanted to do it. It was pretty obvious. He really likes that character, so he played that character perfectly. That was the only character that really felt like it was taken directly out of the original movie and continued onto the screen here. All the other ones were just kind of like, yeah, we're here. So, of course, Val Kilmer is unfortunately not able really to act anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is Zach here. He says, should they make a Star Wars horror movie like Death Troopers?
Yes. Not
Um,
Death Troopers, but can we go back to the previous season of The Mandalorian, the ice cave episode? I mean, if that was anything like what a horror series or project in the Star Wars universe would look like, I'm all for it.
yeah, I mean, you can definitely do it. The because like that episode, for example, you can do like a creature feature type episode like that. That's certainly doable. Can you do a horror episode though, or movie for that matter? I don't know. I don't know that that really fits. You can put horror aspect. I mean, even the Return of the Jedi has the Rancor scene, and that's straight out of a horror movie. Giant creature trying to eat people. So Star Wars has had those elements in there. So yeah, it definitely could be done. How interesting that would be long term, I don't know. That would be my biggest fear if he went into that genre. It's a hard genre to pull off effectively, and when you're using a kind of jovial universe like Star Wars is in and of itself, it's pretty hard to make it scary. Because you always have the droid bust through the door, and all of a sudden there's a big laugh. So it might be a little odd to do it, but I'm sure it can be pulled off. I mean, they were able to do a political spy thriller, so in Andor, so clearly you can do different genres with Star Wars.
I was just picturing Darth Jar Jar in my head. Do a spin-off, some type of multiverse where Darth Jar Jar exists and he's just an absolute menace, and no pun intended, but just ripping people in half and just going full gore fest. Yeah, that could be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars can go PG-13. We've also seen Revenge of the Sith, so it can be they can clearly go there. Matter of fact, I'm actually hoping that the Acolyte is more along those lines of PG-13, rather than just being another PG show where happy-go-lucky. Because if you're gonna deal with Sith, I think a little bit of extra darkness might be in order. That doesn't mean you need to see it. That doesn't mean you have to show decapitations and gore and all that stuff. That's completely unnecessary. But one of the nice things about the original Emperor, for example, is that he comes across as just evil, and you get that in the few scenes that you get that character, and you're like, yeah, that guy clearly is a different caliber than every other character that we've seen so far. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a stylized way I think you can do a Star Wars horror film. Um, and like what you said with the decapitations, we saw Dooku get his head cut off, and we saw Jango Fett get his
Django.
head cut off. So I mean, it's if
yeah,
you do it in that style,
and you can do that, but without the gore.
right,
Like,
right, and of course the lightsaber when it cuts, it cauterizes the wound. That's what we've
right,
figured
and
out
and,
and been
and
told.
like with Dooku, you got the point that he got his head cut off, but they didn't like do the head rolling around on the floor and then focusing on his face and look, here's his cut off head, ha ha, I won. none of that happened. It was just okay. Same thing with Django. With Django you just saw a helmet flying. So
Yeah, and the
and
shadow of the head. You're the one that actually pointed that out to me when
yep.
I was at your apartment years ago. You're like, yeah, you actually see the head fly out, and I'm like, what? And I think I saw it on your TV on your Sony Trinitron back in the early 2000s.
Back in those days, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, I think Star Wars is it can be a genre and its own kind of thing, and you set up different types of different films, a lot like how Marvel is trying to do or doing, depends on how you look at it. Um,
Sure.
there's so many projects. I mean, it's like so many things I think the fans already just want that they could just easily make and like kind of print money in a way. Um, but yeah, we'll see what these 3 films will give us. So yeah, I just want to say hi over here in the comments to Liam, who is one of our big time patrons, supports the podcast. And it looks like Evan just joined too. We'll be seeing him for sure at Star Wars Celebration. Um, so yeah, looking forward to meeting him in person. And we are about 5 minutes away from the chapter 22 of the Mandalorian season 3 dropping. So any final predictions on what we're going to see? I think we're going to get a Moff Gideon episode, and we're going to find out stuff about him.
I think that it's time that they do that. A lot of people keep bringing up Thrawn. I don't think Thrawn is in this show at all. And like I've told you many times, I don't think Thrawn is going to be what people think he's going to be. I don't think Thrawn's going to be the big bad guy in the Ahsoka show. I think that's how it's going to be sold in trailers and so on and so forth. But if they're going to stick to canon at all, which who knows if they're going to or not, because they haven't been taking that too seriously. But in the books, he's not a bad guy. He's an antagonist for sure, but he's not a villain. He's the most fair of the characters in those movies, and he's one of the few characters in the entire Star Wars like Skywalker saga that actually knows the entire story, because he knows who Anakin turned into. He knows about Padme, so he knows all that stuff. So I think it'd be kind of funny if they turned him around and turned him into a hero character, because you could legitimately based on the books.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. But yeah, we got about a couple minutes left before it drops. So with that, we're gonna end the pre-show and watch the episode, and we might be back for a post-show to give some thoughts about it. So look out for that. That might happen. So for Ted and Carl, my name's David. May the force be with you.